Why is this picture in the Epstein files? Michael Jackson was innocent. This is actually some dirty work.
The photo going around saying that Michael Jackson was tied to Epstein files, that's not entirely true.
There's a lot of people trying to dismiss the relationship that Michael Jackson clearly had with Jeffrey Epstein, since photos of him were released in the Epstein files. In this video, we're going to show how Michael Jackson knew who Jeffrey Epstein was. They had several mutual friends and contacts, so the people making this content are denying and defending a pedophile and ignoring actual facts.
The images people keep posting was an old public photo of Michael Jackson and Bill Clinton. And this right here was at a public event. It's been online for years. But what caused the confusion is how the photo was presented later.
So the photo he's talking about is actually different from the one on Getty Images that was previously publicly available. That's what makes it interesting, because how is this photo in Jeffrey Epstein's possession, and who took the photo, as it's clearly different from the one on Getty Images.
So the internet found the original picture. It's actually on Getty Images, the website itself, and just read this description. Michael Jackson, his children, Michael Joseph Jackson Jr. and Paris Michael Catherine Jackson, are photographed with President Bill Clinton, Diana Ross, and her son Evan Ross in Washington, D.C. on December 19, 2003.
The date when this picture was actually taken was in 2002. Going by the outfit and suit that Bill Clinton is wearing, and the shirt that Evan Ross is wearing. That's Diana Ross's son, who was on stage at the event. It's even posted on a Michael Jackson fan website, which states, on this date in 2002, Michael and Diana Ross performed together at the Democratic National Committee fundraiser, a night at the Apollo in New York City. There's actually video footage of it still on YouTube.
Particularly good friend of mine. He was part of my first inaugural entertainment ceremony. He has been a tireless humanitarian, and his fame and influence have been used more and more in recent years to help people all around the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most remarkable performers in American history, the King of Pop, Mr. Michael Jackson.
There's actually another photo of Michael Jackson with Bill Clinton and Chris Tucker from the same event which he didn't perform at. They all have different outfits on, and the kids look slightly older. In this Facebook post, the photo is dated as 2002. So already everything being said about this picture is wrong.
And all of a sudden, people just assumed that this meant this was Epstein Island. Faces was blocked out. Context was just simply removed.
No one assumed he was on Epstein Island, but it's a source of constant speculation because it's where Jeffrey Epstein was trafficking underage victims, so his older male friends could abuse them, and Jeffrey Epstein was literally in league with the Virgin Islands government, the country that his island was part of. While some of Jeffrey Epstein's friends called him out, Michael Jackson claimed he was a humanitarian who wanted to protect and do good for children. So him even being around Jeffrey Epstein is a huge red flag.
Here's the truth. Being shown in a document does not mean that someone was involved in a crime. Did you know they trying to frame Michael Jackson?
Do you know there's still a lot of people that say that about Jeffrey Epstein? That he's been framed like his ex-lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, who runs a campaign to try and discredit the victims and witnesses of him and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Government was very careful who it used as witnesses. It did not use as a witness the woman who accused Prince Andrew, accused me, accused many other people, because the government didn't believe she was telling the truth. In fact, she, Virginia Giuffre, was mentioned in the trial as somebody who brought young people to Epstein for him to abuse. This case does nothing at all to strengthen in any way the case against Prince Andrew. Indeed, it weakens the case against Prince Andrew considerably, because the government was very selective in who it used. It used only witnesses who they believed were credible, and they deliberately didn't use the main witness, the woman who started the whole investigation, Virginia Giuffre, because ultimately they didn't believe she was telling the truth. They didn't believe that a jury would believe her, and they were right in doing so. So it was very smart on the part of the government.
It wasn't Virginia Roberts Giuffre, he can't even say her name right, who kicked off the investigation. It was the parents of a 14-year-old Palm Beach schoolgirl who reported him to the police back in 2005. And that whole interview aged like milk because Virginia Roberts Giuffre was paid off by formerly Prince Andrew, who appears in another previously unreleased redacted photo in the Epsteinfiles before she took her own life to make his case with her go away. And that's just what happened to the witnesses and victims of Michael Jackson. They were threatened or paid off. One of the witnesses in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial testified to meeting Michael Jackson at Jeffrey's Palm Beach mansion. She denied giving him a massage, which isn't very surprising considering he isn't attracted to women. But then there was another assistant of Jeffrey Epstein who wrote in his 50th birthday book in 2003. She wrote, "Before Jeffrey, I was a 22-year-old divorcee working as a hostess in a hotel restaurant. After Jeffrey, I now live in New York City, have travelled to London, Paris, Milan, Copenhagen, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Stockholm, China, Singapore, Brunei, Bangkok, Bali, Ghana, Nigeria, Mozambique, Rwanda, South Africa, Morocco, Ireland, Saint-Tropez, Florida, St. Thomas, Moscow, St. Petersburg, Aspen. I have met Prince Andrew, President Clinton, Sultan of Brunei, Donald Trump, Antonio Vargas, Naomi Campbell, Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, and more." So in 1 year of working for Jeffrey Epstein, she met Bill Clinton, Michael Jackson, and Diana Ross and travelled to all those places. The identity of this assistant is not 100%, but it's not the victim who testified at Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, and it's rumoured to be a woman called Cindy Lopez, who's pictured with another one of his assistants, Sarah Kellen. She was besties with Ghislaine Maxwell. These were the women that organised his massage appointments and recruited new girls. They were pictured together at this private dinner in 2002 at the original TED conference, 3 days in the future, which was formerly known as the Millionaires' Dinner and then the Billionaires' Dinner. Virginia Roberts Giuffre said Jeffrey Epstein took her there in 2000 on his private jet. In 2002, it was attended by Rupert Murdoch, Jeffrey Katzenberg, Richard Dawkins, Quincy Jones, who was good friends with Michael Jackson, and Jeff Bezos. Another connection to Michael Jackson and the Epstein-files is another offender called Peter Nygaard. His island was visited by formerly Prince Andrew and Michael Jackson. In 2020, a letter was written to the UK authorities requesting that Andrew attend a voluntary interview on both the Jeffrey Epstein and the Nygaard investigations, both of which involved the sex trafficking of minors. The FBI refers to a visit made by Andrew and his family to Nygaard's luxury Caribbean resort, which he renamed Nygaard K in 2000. As for anyone trying to frame Michael Jackson, this picture of him visiting Nygaard K is extremely rare and hard to find on the internet, but here he is with his trademark umbrella. So let's get to this latest photo in the Epstein-files. Michael Jackson pictured inside one of Epstein's houses. First of all, we've been told this is inside Jeffrey Epstein's Palm Beach mansion in El Brillo Way. Well, I can't match the parquet flooring in this picture with any of the images we've seen of the mansion. Upstairs is mainly carpeted and downstairs is either tiled or there's wooden floorboards. Secondly, we know that one of the victims who said she gave massages met him, and we know that one of his assistants also met him in the same year she travelled around the world. So now one of his ex-bodyguards has come out and said that Michael Jackson is innocent, he was only visiting the house because it was for sale. There is no way Michael Jackson could afford to buy that mansion in 2003, even if it was for sale, which there's no record of. He was pretty much broke and facing massive legal bills after he was sued by a concert promoter for millions of dollars. And even if he could afford it, who goes house hunting in an outfit like that and gets asked if they want a massage? I really don't believe he would have a flower in his lapel like that if he was just going to look at houses. That's not the only thing that doesn't add up about his story.
Everyone, Matt Fidesz here. I'm getting a lot of Michael Jackson fans reaching out to me and media about the Epstein Michael Jackson picture that seems to be all over the world right now. Now let me tell you how that came about. This is the truth. Don't get too excited because it's quite a simple explanation, okay? Seems like the media are trying to hook on to to Michael Jackson's fame to make the story go bigger.
The Epstein-Files has been the biggest story in the media since Donald Trump refused to release them. No one's hooking on to Michael Jackson's fame except maybe this guy and the people on TikTok, who know how gullible Michael Jackson's fans are.
Michael wanted to move to Palm Beach to be near his friend from the Bee Gees, Barry Gibb. He was friends with all the Bee Gees. He's actually recorded some music with them and was recording music with them at the time. About 2003, if I remember correctly. It's a long time ago now, over 20 years ago. It's about 2003. I was his bodyguard, I was his friend. Michael wanted to view houses. So his team got him a real estate agent who lined up lots of viewings of property, multi-million-dollar mansions along Palm Beach. And guess what? One of them that was for sale was Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. That's right. Now, did anyone know who Jeffrey Epstein was back then? No. He was not infamous, famous back then. He would be doing whatever he was doing. No one knew what he was doing behind closed doors. That was a 30-second picture. That was it. Then we moved on to the next viewing, the next property, the next one. And he wanted to be with his friends. He wanted to be with the Bee Gees.
So there's actually several issues with that story. Starting with Maurice Gibb of the Bee Gees died at the beginning of 2003. And Barry Gibb did not live in Palm Beach. He lived in Miami. If you look it up, Barry Gibb had recorded music with Michael Jackson in the previous year, 2002, and had to ask him to leave his home as he'd overstayed his welcome. Where were his kids when all this was going on? I have no idea. The Bee Gees had split up then and Maurice Gibb was dead. So the idea that Michael Jackson was moving there to record music with them is ridiculous. In early 2003, a TV show made with Martin Bashir on the BBC had aired in the UK and the US to a response of outrage when he said sleeping in the same bed as young boys was the most natural thing in the world.
I don't know any 45-year-old men who are not relatives of the children who share their bedroom with other children.
Well, what's wrong with sharing your bed?
While he sat on the sofa holding the hand of Gavin Arvizo, a young cancer patient, Michael Jackson was desperately trying to repair his image. The authorities were all over this now after he'd already escaped charges in 1993. While they were filming in Berlin, he had dangled his own child over a hotel balcony. He was also battling his record label, Sony, and paying huge legal debts. In April 2003, he did make an appearance at the International Palm Beach Film Festival with two mutual friends of him and Jeffrey Epstein, Chris Tucker and Brett Ratner. Also pictured with them is a lawyer called Al Malnick, who reportedly worked for the mafia and claimed to be the executor of Michael Jackson's will, and it was his mansion that Michael Jackson was staying in Boca Raton. According to archived articles, he was also a loan shark and a property developer involved in the Make-A-Wish Foundation, children's charity who was helping Michael Jackson refinance his debt. They obviously spent a lot of time together, and I found another picture of them at his restaurant where Michael Jackson has a flower in his lapel. There were rumours circulating that Michael Jackson was looking for property when he attended the film festival.
Controversial singer was spotted at the Palm Beach International Film Festival. Reportedly, he's house hunting there, and reviews from residents are mixed.
I'm not a great Michael Jackson fan. Let's let it go with that.
Chris Tucker is pictured in the Epstein-Files with Ghislaine Maxwell and with young girls, and he was on the flight logs of Jeffrey Epstein's private jet 11 times. That's way more than formerly Prince Andrew. In 2002, Chris Tucker presented Michael Jackson with awards, and they made jokes about where he was sleeping at Neverland.
To the king of pop, Michael Jackson.
Thank you so much. I'm very honored. I'm very happy. I thank all the people that appreciate my work. I thank the Billboard Awards. I've always admired you. And to the fans around the world, I love you. I couldn't be me without you. Thank God. And Chris Tucker, you're my favorite.
Can I keep the award for a couple of days?
Yeah, we gotta share it. We have to share it.
Where I'm staying at in Neverland.
Yeah, anywhere you want to stay.
All right. I'm in cabin number 3.
Okay.
Would you please welcome a good friend of mine, the king of pop, Mr. Michael Jackson.
Look at this damn traffic.
Usually I don't do this, but...
This is me on vacation with my good friend, Brett Ratner.
Brett Ratner and Michael Jackson filmed each other in Brett Ratner's car in Miami, and Michael visited the set of his movie Red Dragon, and Brett Ratner also said he'd stayed at Neverland.
And now Michael Jackson, I know you're a friend of Michael Jackson's.
Yeah.
Did you meet him from a music video?
No, I met him, God, when I did the first Rush Hour, and that's a long, crazy story, but people, don't really know Michael as well as I did, really. And
Most people don't.
Well, yeah, but they think they know him, but he was probably one of the funniest human beings ever, and he would...
For real?
No, really, and all he wanted to do was practical jokes on people, and I'll never forget, I would sleep in the Elizabeth Taylor suite when she wasn't there at Neverland.
Okay.
It seems like Michael Jackson was trying to get involved in the movie industry. He had signed some kind of production deal, possibly with Kevin Spacey, another contact of Jeffrey Epstein, who's also been accused of touching young boys, who's also in the Epsteinfiles. And that's not even where the connection ends. In 2001, that's 2 years before, he was in the UK with a rabbi called Shmuley Boteach, who is a pro-Israel lobbyist masquerading as a sex therapist, and an illusionist called Uri Geller. He was also filmed with Uri Geller and another illusionist, David Blaine, who is pictured in the Epstein files in a photo at Jeffrey Epstein's house with Woody Allen and Ehud Barak, the former Prime Minister and Defense Minister of Israel, who Virginia Roberts Giuffre claimed assaulted her sexually when she was a teenager. So many people who met Jeffrey Epstein, including Bill Gates' wife Melinda Gates, commented on how creepy and abhorrent she found Jeffrey Epstein. It is impossible to believe that Michael Jackson did not know who Jeffrey Epstein was. This wasn't a random group of people. These people all knew each other and shared common interests. They were interested in money, investment, politics, and molesting young people. And anyone who's out here defending them is looking very sus right now.